Hey everybody, it's Roland, and this is the Examine Life of Gaming. I'm just kind of making this quick little update video because I haven't made any progress on any projects in a while, for a couple of good reasons, I guess. I've been working full time, so I haven't had a lot of free time lately, any kind of even less motivation lately, so it might be a little while before I get some more stuff done, but I do have a lot of things in the works, so I'm just gonna kind of update you on those, and then talk about some games that I've been playing that I don't really feel like doing any official stuff on, but I still have thoughts I want to share because I'm a narcissist and that's just what I do. Obviously, the project that I'm currently working on is the Mech Warrior retrospective. The Mech Warrior 2 retrospective, which is part 2, is in the works, and it's fully written, most of it's recorded. The problem is I still need a lot of game capture, and then after that it's going to need mountains of editing, so hopefully that'll be pretty soon. The Mech Warrior 2 Let's Play is kind of on hold almost indefinitely for now, since I've been working on this project that I'm a lot more interested in anyway. So what else do I have going on? I've had some ideas for more stuff to put on the website, which I may do soon, or I may hold off on for a while. Just kind of like put comics and stuff on there. I draw comics sometimes. Sometimes they're semi-funny. I don't really produce them that much. They're mostly just like sketchbook sketches, but I don't know, it might be kind of interesting to just throw some goofy comics up there every now and then as filler material. Perhaps I will also add some fun things on the site, like secrets or, I don't know, more pages. It definitely is in need of an update. I thought about making like a crew section to make kind of funny jokes about people that have been on the show in the past. So that's kind of what that's going on. And I guess games that I've been playing Far Cry 3 and Blood Dragon. I actually played Blood Dragon all the way through before I played much of Far Cry 3. And then I went back to Far Cry 3. But I'll talk about Far Cry 3 first. Which, I mean, it's a cool game, but it's frustrating, just kind of in the way that it behaves. It's very structured. I like the upgrades. The weapon upgrades are pretty sweet, and the weapon variety is pretty good as well. Although I should point out they're still doing the empty magazine thing, which pisses me off. But yeah, I like that everything is unlocked, and you can buy it in any order you want, which is so much cooler than having to, like, oh, I've scraped up enough money to buy a tank, but the only thing I have unlocked right now is a handgun. How awesome is that the store won't sell me a tank because I haven't unlocked the tank? Oh, well, that's a pain in the ass. So that's cool, and also finding weapons that enemies drop also adds them to your inventory, so you don't have to, like, buy a store brand AK-47, even if you've already found a dead guy's AK-47. That's cool. The skill tree is pretty neat, and like you go from being a pathetically weak character to being an almost superhuman character, but it doesn't feel like the combat doesn't feel bland like it does in a lot of those RPG style games. And I think Far Cry 3 should be sort of applauded for managing to add a skill tree into what is still a fast Twitch-based shooter. It doesn't make the game too simple at all. Like Dead Island and Borderlands are sort of the other side of that coin, where your tactical abilities are minimal. You mostly rely on skills and hit points, and everything's kind of a turret match. So it's a lot more fun to just be able to, run around, take cover, and kind of have a traditional action-packed shooter experience, but with a bunch of upgrades that allow you to do cool shit. And the same thing, like the chaining, the combo chaining system, where you can sort of, chain together multiple guys, stab like 5 guys in a row, and then you can also switch to pulling the pin on a guy's grenade, or you can pull out his sidearm, or you can throw a knife at a guy. Like, it makes it kind of awesome, because you can wipe out entire like a complement of guards guarding some base or whatever. You just wipe them all out in a couple of seconds just with quick time presses, but in a way that doesn't feel quite as retarded as, say, Human Revolution, where you basically walk up behind a guy, press Q, walk up behind a guy, press Q, walk up behind a guy, press Q. You actually have to, you have to kind of sneak into position, you have to chain your combos, you have to time it right, and it's still Twitch-based, because you're still playing the game while this shit's happening. It's not like, oh, pause the game, cutscene, unpause, play again. So that's cool. The thing that I don't quite like about it is that it feels much more game-y, much more canned. Far Cry 3 is so much better than Far Cry 2 in terms of just strict game flow. Like, it's a fully realized game, all the pieces are working together, there's lots of objectives and stuff to do, but it does feel kind of canned. Like, every single time you attack an enemy settlement, you can basically do it the exact same way. You can just sneak up behind it, you can stealth the entire thing perfectly, nothing ever goes wrong, pretty much. It's a bit too, like, cut and dried. So the stealth, for example, is insultingly easy, even on the hardest difficulty. Although I didn't play on the hardest difficulty, because after a while I was getting really fucking pissed off. Every time I would find an animal that I just desperately needed to skin in order to unlock the next, whatever, weapon holster or something like that, I would bend down to skin it, and a squad of guys would spawn behind me and instantly kill me. It happened so friggin' many times, and they were just... I'm sure the spawning thing continues to happen regardless of the difficulty, but when it's on a harder difficulty, they can insta-kill you. So yeah, even though it's much more, you know, minute to minute, it's a lot more fun. It's fast-paced compared to Far Cry 2. But Far Cry 2 is, I think, the experience that will still stick with me. It's still one of those games that I have to stand up for you, despite its huge problems. And it's not saying that Far Cry 2's problems couldn't have been fixed and made it into a better game. If a few more things were fixed about Far Cry 2, it could have been a game as good as Far Cry 3, say, but still with more of that impact. More of that sort of unscripted, random nature of just the way everything goes wrong, and you're sort of trying to adapt in combat, as opposed to, you know, doing a perfect stealth run on every single group of enemies you find. So, Far Cry 3, it's cool. The cooperative mode, I played a little bit of that with my friend Code Knight, is great, although it's kind of split up. Like, you go, like, into mission mode, and then, like, between missions, it's like, hey, let's all race ATVs from checkpoint to checkpoint and capture the flag or something, and you're like, whoa, hang on. That's getting awfully stupid. But still, it's a lot of fun. So I would recommend Far Cry 3, and I would recommend Far Cry 3's cooperative mode. I know the game is quite old at this point, and I'm sort of late to the party, but hey, that's how things go. I also played Blood Dragon, which I am slightly less late to the party. I was going to do a whole review on this, but then I didn't. I guess I should mention that Far Cry 3 and Blood Dragon both use Uplay, which I'm not entirely sure Ubisoft is even still going to do much longer, but it's just awful. If Origin is Windows Vista and Steam is Windows 7, Uplay is like Windows ME. It's just awful. And the Uplay point system is an awful idea. It's like Gamerscore you can spend, or I guess you could buy. You could pay for Gamerscore. But then you don't have it anymore. It goes away. So I just, you know, I don't see the appeal of that, being able to buy useless little trinkets or something. Or desktops. Although, honestly, I did buy one of the Blood Dragon desktops. Don't hate me. But yeah, just overall, I love logging into my computer, then logging into Steam, then booting Uplay, then logging into Uplay, and then playing Far Cry 3. Like, Jesus Christ. It's peeling a fucking onion with games these days. I will say about Blood Dragon, it is like the most beautiful game since Divine Cybermancy. It's not particularly, you know, the graphics of Far Cry 3 are pretty dated because it's still essentially identical to Far Cry 2. But I will say sometimes it's really nice to see color. Far Cry 3 isn't, like, not colorful by any stretch of the imagination, but it also isn't all that striking, I guess. Divine Cybermancy's like, well, what if we just went crazy with the color, and so everything's all neon and shit, and Blood Dragon does that too, you know? It's like, it's dark, it's neon, it's just awesome looking. It's kind of got a more basic set of weapons than Far Cry 3, and a few of them are non-customizable, you just sort of get later on. But, you know, the game is not very long, and it's comparatively linear, so that's not a big problem, and the guns are freaking awesome. They're all references to action movies. The handgun and the sniper rifle are from RoboCop, the handgun is the Beretta Auto 9, and the sniper rifle is that, whatever it is, that trumped up 50 cal that they used to take out Murphy, or try to. The shotgun is from, the shotgun and the minigun are both from Terminator. Well, the minigun might be from Predator, who knows, but yeah, the shotgun, the lever action Winchester 1886 or whatever it is, it's pretty sweet. But of course you can still upgrade them so they become something altogether crazier. And the flamethrower is, I guess, a reference to Far Cry 2, essentially. It's just Far Cry 2's flamethrower, again. So yeah, so Blood Dragon makes Far Cry 3's existing takedown chain system even awesomer, because it just, like, makes it slightly more fun. You know, you don't have falling damage, and you can just sort of leap into the middle of a huge base and murder people. Plus, you're so much more durable than you are in Far Cry 3. And it replaces the knife with shuriken, and I think we'll all agree that shuriken are better than knives. The storytelling is kind of the funniest thing ever, because it's got, like, this ultra classy VHS style loading screen intro that's always in 4:3 aspect ratio, and I think that's probably on purpose for the first time ever. So many games have, like, a 4:3 aspect ratio because they're just lazy as shit, but this game is like, check it out, we're adjusting the tracking on your game so you can play it and see it. And the cutscenes are all like Sega Genesis or Super NES style cutscenes with, like, little paper cutouts and 8-bit color that sort of move around and don't really animate while the voices talk over them. Plus Kyle Reese is the main character, which is awesome. The kind of the thing is that the big new mechanic for the game, I guess, is Blood Dragons and Cyber Hearts. And the Cyber Hearts, the only thing that they do is to lure Blood Dragons. So after a couple of minutes, I had 99 Cyber Hearts, and that was... I never used them. ever. Like, I mean, once or twice it's kind of fun to see a garrison get ripped apart by a blood dragon, but after that it gets kind of a pain in the ass, and doing it yourself is much more fun. Plus, after you do it yourself, you don't have to take out a fucking cyber dragon. And honestly, fighting cyber dragons is not that fun. Like, they start out very difficult to kill, but not in a fun way, because you literally don't have anything to do damage with them. You basically have to hide behind a rock so their AI breaks, and then lob all of your grenades at it, and that's not fun. And if you actually try to fight it, it'll kill you. And at the very end, they become very easy to kill, and in a not fun way. Like, you know, at first you think turrets may be your best bet, but they can one-hit kill a vehicle with their laser mouth, or whatever the fuck it is. And if you're in a vehicle, you're instantly killed, even if you have, 20 health bars, and the thing only does 2 health bars worth of damage. You're instantly killed, which is, a weakness of Far Cry 2's engine getting used all these years later. But eventually you get explosive rounds and a semi-automatic upgrade for your sniper rifle, and then you just kind of jump them in the air, aim down at them, and go blam, 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 over and over again. There is not a middle point where you can have, like, a knockdown, drag-out fight with one blood dragon, and then ultimately triumph. It's just, it starts out, it's all grenades, and it ends up, it's all sniper rifle. So, the only time you'll ever see the blood dragons again is if you accidentally throw a cyber heart instead of a grenade. What else have I been doing? I've been playing a game called War Thunder, which I know is bad of me because I don't like free-to-play games, and it's a free-to-play game. It's a free-to-play air combat game with like dogfighting planes from World War I through Korean War, and maybe some early Vietnam planes, I'm not sure. But, like, everybody who ever recommends a free-to-play game, they're like, no, this one is good for a free-to-play game. And at first you think they're right. And then some problems kind of show up, and you're like, oh, right, it's a free-to-play game, and those are all garbage. So far I'm having fun, but I'm seeing those flaws on the horizon, I guess. And it is fun to play, and the quality of the simulation is really, really quite good. The cockpit view is fantastic. You can look around the cockpit. The game is gorgeous. Just the detail of the game, as you can play in arcade mode, where essentially it's just WASD and your mouse, or you can play in full realistic mode, where you've got flaps, and you've got air brakes, and gear, and all sorts of really cool stuff. So, it's got a good kind of cross-section of difficulty and complexity, depending on how you feel like playing. And on arcade mode, I would say that the controls are very good. It's basic mouse controls, like Freelancer, which makes it super easy to have dogfights, which is actually, you would think, oh, that's stupid, because now anybody can have a dogfight. But no, you know what, that's good, because it makes dynamic dogfights happen all the time. Like, that's the kind of the problem. If you don't have easy controls like that, dogfighting becomes, like, all about fighting your own plane instead of somebody else's. You're just constantly wrestling with the controls and trying to get it to turn faster, and, trying to get it lined up just perfectly on, like, 6 different axes, because you're in 3D or whatever. And the fights just last an eternity because nobody can ever line up a shot, It's like every 1 out of 10 times you pull your plane around to aim at the guy, you actually get on target and can actually pull the trigger, and then 1 out of every 10 of your bullets hit. So, it becomes like 1 out of 100. It's just never, anything ever happens. So, you know what, I think it's better. Dogfighting is pretty cool. And there's a focus on objectives, which is good, because I hate people that are like, why are you... Fuck, dogfights are such a pain in the ass, man. That's the thing, dogfighting is utterly useless. If I say to you, let's just have a dogfight, like, I'm gonna have a plane, and you're gonna have a plane, and while our guys are fighting on the ground, we'll fight in the air. That's fucking stupid. Do you realize how stupid that is? You don't just throw planes at other people's planes. You have a plane to attack the enemy's ground forces so that you can get a little bit more, damage done, and then somebody else builds a plane that can attack your plane. And that's how you get bombers and fighters. Bombers are designed to attack the ground forces and complete objectives, and fighters are designed to destroy bombers. So dogfights happen when one fighter is protecting a bomber and one fighter is trying to destroy a bomber. That's dogfighting. It'd be like if you had like a cockfighting league in your army or whatever, and you're like, yeah, well, the enemy has a bunch of roosters and we have a bunch of roosters, and we're going to pit them together in the middle of the battlefield while the rest of the fight's going on. And you're like, why the fuck would you do that? And you're like, well, if we don't, who else will fight their roosters? How are we going to fight their roosters if we don't have our cockfighting team? It's just a waste of time. So you have to have a focus on objectives, and you have to say, like, there is a way to win by destroying enemy ground targets, because that's the whole point. If it's just like, here is a gigantic airborne death match, awesome, so what? That's really dumb. The only problem is that even though they do have a focus on objectives, the planes are still not quite balanced, and essentially bombers are worst at everything because they cannot destroy objectives nearly as fast as fighters can. So that could use some balancing maybe. I don't know, the game's probably still in beta, so who gives a crap. And the free-to-play model isn't too obnoxious yet. All of the updates that they talk about the free-to-play model, they're like, well, we're trying to tweak it here and there. It makes it sound like they're trying to figure out ways to make it more obnoxious. So it could get really obnoxious in the future. Right now there's only like a couple of planes that you have to spend real money for, and essentially what they are is just like hero versions of additional planes, which I know, you know, MechWarrior Online did that too, whatever. I really don't care. MechWarrior Online is garbage. The other big problem is that the developer is Russian, and guess what? The Russian planes are all way overpowered. You literally cannot argue this. My friend Code Knight has started something called the Chaika Education Coalition, where he uses a Chaika to just rape entire servers, and then tell people, you know why you got killed? Because I was using a Chaika. You should use a Chaika too. It's kind of like the zombie skin thing from GTA 4. I guess his ultimate goal is once every single human being playing War Thunder is using the Chaika, which is a Russian biplane with an absurd number of guns and makes it super overpowered, they're going to have to acknowledge, okay, the game is not balanced and we need to fix it. Because, I mean, it's kind of hilarious. Like, somebody with a Chaika will have, like, 13 kills and nobody else will have a single one, and they're like, nope, Chaikas aren't overpowered. Nope, Russian planes are just fine. And you're like, dude, they're really not. Everybody has used the Russian planes. Everybody who uses the Russian planes except for you assholes. Like, Jesus, this is overpowered as fuck. So, personally, I prefer the German planes. I think they get the moral victory because they're not overpowered, but they're a lot of fun to fly. So, I don't know, future stuff. It looks like their plan is to add some tank and naval combat at some point down the road, which would be pretty cool. What I like is the scope of the game. You know, there's airfields to capture, and there's columns and convoys of armor and stuff motoring along, and if you get close enough, you can see infantry running around. But you have to be low and slow in order to see the infantry. So that's I don't know, whatever, that's what I'm thinking about. I've probably talked for like 20 minutes almost now, which is a lot of minutes, and I don't know if I have much else to talk about. I haven't been playing a whole lot of other games. I've just been kind of tinkering with things and working a lot. So, anyway, I hope to get some stuff done for you guys soon, if I can, and I will see you around.